Hello trainers, Professor Palm here, and today is my birthday. I guess you could tell with everything around me right now. Well, today I'm another year older. People always say that celebrating your birthdays is always fun with friends. Well, I'm taking that advice to heart today because I'm happy to celebrate my birthday with all of you trainers. Well, I just got back from the Pokemon Center. I just went to go heal some Pokemon, but it was dark. As I walked in, surprise! So many trainers and even Nurse Joy wished me a happy birthday. She told me that she hopes that I will still visit the Pokemon Center for years to come, and I told her, of course I will. I guess that she was really happy about this, that she gave me a free slice of cake for it. Oh geez, I just realized this whole time I haven't been wearing my glasses. There we go. Sorry about the mass confusion, trainers. Well, looking back at one of my birthdays from so many years ago, I remember the day everything changed. It was the birthday I got Pokemon Emerald. Because of this game, I became a Pokemon trainer and of course, a professor. But I could not have done that if it wasn't for Torchic. After seeing Professor Birch calling for help, I got that Pokemon, and because of Torchic, Combuskin, and Blaziken, I set off on that legendary journey throughout the Hoenn region on my 10th birthday. For those of you who remember last year, I talked about my favorite Pokemon for my birthday, and that of course was Lucario. I really love this Aura Pokemon, and I love the line. Riolu is also a great Pokemon as well. Well, it's my birthday again, and I'm going to talk about another Pokemon line that I really love. Where is the Pokemon? Well, to be honest, they're kind of masquerading right now. They're pretending to be something that they're not. Ha ha! Look at that! Both Lucario and Riolu were actually Zorua and Zoroark in disguise, thanks to their illusions. As for me, I'm a man who really loves arts and theater, and seeing that we have Pokemon that can pretend to be others is incredible! These are some of my favorite Pokemon out there as well. Oh, and I would also go on record and even say that Zorua and Zoroark are some of my all-time favorite Dark-type Pokemon. With the way that Zorua and Zoroark act, it's really made me love them so much. Not just because of the movie, Zoroark Master of Illusions, but also playing with them in many games has really showed me how great of partners they can be. I wasn't a huge fan of Dark-type Pokemon, but after getting Zorua and Zoroark on my team, I learned how incredible Dark-type Pokemon can be, and they can bring you a lot of victories. I'll tell you one thing, I've always loved Kitsune. I've also really loved werewolves, but most of all, I really adore foxes. In my opinion, foxes are some of the coolest animals out there. They're fast, they're swift, and sometimes they can be a little bit tricky. So, I couldn't think of a better Pokemon to talk about than these. After all, it's my birthday, and I want to share with all of you trainers some things that I really like. I would even go on record and say that some of the stuff they do is the most entertaining. After all, seeing what Zoroark can really do has always entertained me to my core. And seeing that Zorua is such a cute little trickster, this makes me really love this line. So, I'm going to talk all about Zorua and Zoroark. But before I do that, I want to give a very special happy birthday to Markiplier. Happy birthday, Marky Moo! I can't believe that you and I share the same birthday. I hope that you have a wonderful birthday. But you're not the only person that I'm going to say a special thanks and shout out to today. I want to give a shout out and a very special thanks to Techronova for my shirt. If you like the shirts I wear with these designs, you can buy them on Etsy. I have a link to Techronova's Etsy page in the description below. Today's shirt is called The Ghost Fox Within. Since we're talking about both Zorua and Zoroark, I couldn't think of a better shirt to wear than this one. And if you think I look good in this shirt, I think that you'll look even better. So please check out Techronova's Etsy page, maybe even buy a shirt from her. I may not be sponsored, but I still want to give her a huge thanks and a shout out for making such an incredible design. Also, if you buy a shirt, don't forget to tell her Professor Palm sent ya. While I'm not sponsored, I still just want to say thank you for making these amazing shirts. And hey, why buy a silly stock image t-shirt when you can have an incredible design like this pop out and attract lots of others towards you? Well, trainers, I think it's opening night and it's time to start the show. We have an amazing show for you. Zorua and Zoroark have an amazing show for you. It's Act 1, and the curtain has just been drawn. So, it's time for our star to take the stage, the little tricky fox itself, Zorua! Zorua, the tricky fox Pokemon, is based on a kitsune of Japanese folklore, a mythical fox capable of shape-shifting. However, unlike most kitsune portrayed in literature, media, and art that depict them with 9 tails, Zorua only has 1. The red markings on Zorua's face are inspired by kabuki theater makeup. After all, Zorua is about to transform and look like something else. It's a very talented actor who's about to put on a performance of a lifetime. For its habitat, Zorua live deep in the woods and forests in packs. They feel the safest among friends, and it's also said that Zorua have timid nature, and seeing a stranger immediately will make Zorua flee in fear. Because of this timid nature, this has led to Zorua's development of illusion abilities. Zorua cares so much about their safety, and to protect themselves, they hide their true identities by transforming into both people and Pokemon. While the woods are very nice for Zorua and Zoroark, they crave adventure and want to see what's outside. So, oftentimes, they go on little adventures to villages, cities, and towns. However, Zorua do not go as themselves, as that would cause too much attention. Instead, they use their power of illusion to masquerade as people and Pokemon. And, more often than not, Zorua takes the form of children. Zorua are very intelligent Pokemon, but they also have amazing memories. In fact, if you were to look at Zorua for only a few seconds, Zorua would never forget your face, and if it transformed into you, it would be able to get everything about you down to the most discreet details. That is how good these Pokemon are at disguising themselves. Some people even say it's the master of disguise. While Zorua is the master of disguise thanks to its ability of illusion, there are unfortunately a couple of things that give it away. This Pokemon is not the perfect master of disguise, and it has a couple of flaws. The biggest flaw most of all is that Zorua cannot mimic voices. So, oftentimes it'll stay completely silent when disguised as a human. If you see that one of your talkative friends has gone silent out of nowhere, it may be possible that's Zorua in disguise. Then again, Zorua are really young and they're learning how to use their powers to the fullest, so their illusions aren't always perfect that their tails stick out when becoming a human or Pokemon. If you want them to turn back, just touch or pull on the tail and immediately they'll revert back to the Zorua they once were. Since Zorua are the masters of disguise and they can do great illusions, some of them work for theaters, and let me tell you, going to a theater and seeing a Zorua show is a performance you will never forget. Some Zorua are very brave, and they like to pull pranks as well as get reactions. Sometimes wild Zorua will take off the illusion in front of a populated area just to see the reactions of lots of people. It has a little bit of a mischievous side to it. Thankfully, Zorua's mischievous side is never going to do anything harmful. It just pulls pranks in the good name of fun. Oh, and Zorua really like to laugh. And if you've ever heard Zorua's laugh in either the anime or the movies, you'll know that Zorua has one of the cutest laughs in the world. A brave Zorua is a very loyal Zorua, especially to trainers. Even if the going gets tough or something bad could happen, Zorua will always stay by its trainer and its friend's side no matter what. That's how important the bonds between them are. Zorua are such lovable creatures. Of course they do some mischievous things, but it's all in the name of good fun. Thanks to Pokemon Legends Arceus and Arceus himself sending us back in time to the Hisui region, we saw Zorua in a way we had never seen before. Back in the ancient days of Hisui, Zorua lived in the snow in very harsh environments, and they weren't tricky fox Pokemon. Instead, they were violent, spiteful fox Pokemon. It's said that Zorua was exiled from other lands by humans because of their illusions, and unable to survive in the Hisui region due to the harsh environment and conflicts with other Pokemon, the souls of deceased Zorua lingered on into a new form. Reborn by their malice towards humans and Pokemon alike, they became Hisuian Zorua. While Hisuian Zorua may look cute, this Pokemon is anything but that. They have resentment of everything, and they take pleasure in horrifying people and Pokemon alike. using their power of illusion to bring forth their greatest fears. It enjoys hearing the screams of terror and seeing those suffer as Hisuian Zorua draws strength from the terror it inflicts on its victims through the ghostly fur on top of its head. The more it draws in, the stronger it gets. It's crazy that Zorua went from being a pure dark-type Pokemon to becoming a normal ghost-type Pokemon. I guess anger can really awaken the spirit of vengeance within you. Seeing that they were exiled, I kinda don't blame Zorua for becoming a spiteful fox. After all, it had to make home in a very harsh environment in the Hisuian snow. Zorua made its main series debut in the Black and White episode, Movie Time, Zorua, the Legend of the Pokemon Knight, where she was under the ownership of a young filmmaker named Luke. And his Zorua was female and played multiple roles in her trainer's films. However, Zorua preferred to be more female roles than the male roles, as that really annoyed her how she often had to be the male rather than the female. While I talked about Zorua's debut in the main series, I didn't tell you where it really first appeared. That was in the movie Zoroark, Master of Illusions. I won't give any spoilers about the movie, but I will say that this movie really got a lot of us excited for Generation 5. Seeing those Pokemon really made us wonder what was coming next. In the core series games, Zorua is the frontrunner of Gladion's team when you fight him in Ultra Sun and Ultra Moon. However, Zorua was also a prominent Pokemon that helped N get rescued from the wild. And despite this Pokemon being that important to him, it never appears on any of his teams. Even though Zorua is not a mythical Pokemon, it required an event in order for you to catch. You see, despite it being a Unova Pokemon, it could not be found anywhere in the Unova region, except for Castelia City. In Black and White, as long as you had yourself a Celebi in your party, an event Celebi, and you talked to one of the boys at Castelia City who was listening to a story, that boy would turn into a Zorua, and at there, you could catch it. Zorua is such a little trickster. It's got a mischievous attitude and a cute laugh, but most of all, it has a bunch of tricks up its sleeve. I would honestly say I think that this is one of my favorite Dark-type Pokemon of all time. But not my favorite of all time. I think we're going to cover that one right now. So, I think it's time we unleash our wild side and have Zorua evolve into Zoroark. Oh, look at that. A howl in the night, and it's time for the call of the wild. Zoroark the Illusion Fox Pokemon is based on a werewolf. However, Zoroark also draws inspiration to Kitsune of Japanese folklore, a ship-shaping mythical fox that would trick unsuspecting travelers for fun. Yet, Zoroark also draws inspiration from the legendary creature itself, El Chupacabra. For its habitat, Zoroark live in dark woods and dark forests, and they live in packs. They make dens, which it uses to protect its young, as well as protect its friends. The bonds between a Zorua and a Zoroark are unlike anything you have ever seen before. Zoroark are very protective of their family, but also their friends. Even if a new Zorua was to enter the pack, they would watch over it as if it was their own child. And if anyone happens to go missing, Zoroark will look all around and will not rest until it finds its friend or family member and brings it back to the den safely. Thanks to the power of illusion, Zoroark is able to ensure safety within its pack by tricking the outsiders into thinking that there is nothing there. If humans are going to discover a Zoroark's den, Zoroark will never fight back. Instead, it'll use its power of illusion, giving them different visions of things that might scare them off or things that might attract them to something else. All in all, Zoroark prefer to take a peaceful route, and they like to use their illusion ability for protection rather than for attacking. Did you know that Zoroark's hair says a lot about their age? You see, a Zoroark with a lot of black tips in their hair, a big poofy haircut, and a very long ponytail is an elder Zoroark who's been around for a very long time, and one with very few black tips, a very short ponytail, and not much of a poofy haircut is a very young Zoroark. Unlike with its previous evolution in Zorua, Zoroark are not shy, nor are they timid. In fact, they are some of the most adventurous Pokemon out there. They love going exploring, And some Zoroark leave the woods to go to villages, towns, and cities. However, they don't walk in just as Zoroark. They go disguised. Thanks to Zoroark's ability of illusion, it has the power to transform itself into looking like any possible person or Pokemon. And Zoroark are so brilliant-minded that whoever they look at, they will never forget a face. In fact, they have the ability to transform into anyone you want, or they can also take the form of several people to look like its own person. Because of this, Zoroark has two names, the Master of Disguise and the Master of Illusions. Since Zoroark are the Master of Disguise, they can mimic everything perfectly about a Pokemon and a human, even down to their voice. Yep, Zoroark know how to speak our language. In fact, one of them could be talking right now, and you'd never realize it. Zoroark's power is unlike anything you've ever seen, as Zoroark doesn't just transform itself, it has the power to make 100 people see illusions at the same time. In fact, its illusions are so powerful that you might not even be able to tell what's real and what's not. Despite its appearance, Zoroark are not violent creatures. If anything, they prefer to use illusion in order to fight or get away without having any violence happen. While Zoroark don't always like to get violent with humans, there are some stories that those who tried to catch Zoroark were trapped in its illusions, and when found, they were left completely traumatized. There are some Zoroark who prefer to live in solitude instead of being part of a pack. Those that live in solitude like to perform tricks for humans whenever they find them. It's said that Zoroark's illusions are so good, they rival that of a magic show put on by Kadabra and Alakazam. Oh, and because of their incredible performance, there are some Zoroark who also perform on stage as professional Pokemon actors. As protective, cool, and impressive as Zoroark is, back in the past, we learned that Zoroark was an entirely different kind of creature. Thanks to Arceus sending us back in time to the old days of the Hisui region in Pokemon Legends Arceus, we learned that Zoroark originally lived in the snowy mountains in the Hisui region, and they weren't the foxes we knew. Instead, they were very violent, and they were also seen as the embodiment of death as the baneful fox Pokemon. Hisuian Zoroark are said to be some of the most cruel, violent, and hate-filled Pokemon alive. It's said that Hisuian Zoroark resembles the embodiment of death, as anything that crosses their path is said to die when coming across them. The illusions channeled through Hisuian Zoroark's long withering fur are full of spite and hatred for all things. Hisuian Zoroark can tap into your mind, find your greatest fear, and make it happen. They enjoy the suffering of others, and after you've been broken down enough, they'll deliver the final blow themselves. Hisuian Zoroark attacked its enemies with such bitter energy, so intense, that those red frostbite marks you see around it are actually lacerations all over Zoroark's body. Zoroark enjoy the pain they feel, and it makes them fight even more. The more they have, the stronger and more deadlier they will be. Also, these Pokemon never hold back in a fight. Some Hisuian Zoroark howl at night, and it's been known as the Song of Death. If you happen to hear one of these howls on a snowy mountain, you better have your Pokemon ready for battle. Otherwise, it's the end for you. Hisuian Zoroark has a signature move called Bitter Malice, which attacks its opponents with a spine-chilling resentment since they're so filled with anger and hatred. This also will lower the opponent's attack stat. Hisuian Zoroark truly shows how far it's gone to survive. It's become a normal ghost type. I can truly see how the anger has awakened the spirit of vengeance within them. They are so consumed by anger and hatred, they'll destroy and murder anything that disturbs them. I truly believe that Hisuian Zoroark is the true Grim Reaper Pokemon. Zoroark made its main series debut in the Black and White Adventures in Unova and Beyond episode, The Island of Illusions. It inhabited Grand Spectral Island, which it used its illusion ability to create giant Pokemon in order to protect the other Pokemon on the island from poachers. Decades earlier, it was a Zorua that a nurse droid once cared for. After she left, it evolved into Zoroark and stayed on the island as the protector. While we talked about Zoroark's main series debut, we did talk about its true debut, which was in the movie Zoroark Master of Illusions. it served as the protagonist, and since I don't like to spoil movies, I'd rather you watch it. It's a movie that is really worth watching. Also, Zorua and Zoroark were the very first Generation 5 Pokemon introduced. This really hyped us up for what Generation 5 could bring us when we finally would get to the Unova region. In the core series games, Zoroark serves as the second command on End's team when you battle him for the final time at End's castle. However, Zoroark also serves as the frontrunner of Gladion's team when you fight him in Ultra Sun or Ultra Moon. Zoroark was one of the first and only non-mythical Pokemon to be an event exclusive for a time. You see, you could not find this Pokemon anywhere in the Unova region, even though it was from there. The only possible place you could find it is the Losthorn Forest in Black and White. However, you need to have a fateful encounter with it, as it's a woman hiding in a trailer that will only reveal herself if you show her a shiny Entei, Raikou, or Suicune. Zoroark has a signature move, being Night Daze, which Zoroark lets loose a pitch-black shockwave at its target. This also lowers the target's attack stat. As we all know, Zoroark evolves from Zorua at level 30. However, pre-release information from a Japanese comic company, Koro Comics, originally suggested that Zoroark would evolve from Zorua by a method different from known evolution methods. However, this method was entirely scrapped, and we just have it evolving at level 30. How it was going to evolve originally, to this day, remains unknown. On a really cool note, Zoroark is seen very similar to my favorite Pokemon of all time, Lucario, as they share a lot of similar traits together. Both Lucario and Zoroark share the same gender ratio, being 87.5% male and 12.5% female. Both Lucario and Zoroark are in the same A group, being the Field Group. Both Lucario and Zoroark require the same amount of EXP to reach level 100, and of course, the most obvious of them all is that Lucario and Zoroark are both based off of mythological beasts, and both of them represent wolves. In the Super Smash Bros. Series, Zoroark appears as a Pokemon that can be summoned when you throw a Pokeball. When released, Zoroark uses the move Fury Swipes on your opponent. For Zorua and Zoroark, being that they're pure Dark-type Pokemon, they're very strong and can hold themselves in a battle. Unfortunately, they have a few weaknesses, so let's do the weakness roll call. Being pure Dark-type, Zorua and Zoroark are weak to moves that are Bug-type, Fighting-type, and as of Generation 6, Fairy-type. Oh, 3 weaknesses. That's not too bad. However, we were only looking at Unovian Zorua and Zoroark's weaknesses. There's a whole nother version of them that are found in the Hisui region. So, let's go back in time, visit the fresh Hisuian snow, and see the weaknesses of Hisuian Zorua and Zoroark. Back in the old days of the Hisui region, Zorua and Zoroark were normal and ghost-type Pokemon, and they did the impossible. While most dual-type Pokemon have a lot of weaknesses, Zorua and Zoroark only have one. It's only to Dark-type attacks, which I find so ironic, as originally they were Dark-type and now that's what they're weak to. Kinda ironic, but I think that that's pretty cool as well. Well, now we've seen that they have a single weakness, I'd say let's talk about their strengths. And let's go back to normal times and talk about Unovian Zorua and Zoroark. When it comes to the strength of Zorua and Zoroark, being pure Dark-type Pokemon, they're very strong in battle, and they have plenty of Dark-type moves that help them win fights against Pokemon that are Ghost-type and Psychic-type. But Psychic also gives them another edge in the fight. Being that they're both pure Dark-type Pokemon, Psychic moves will do no damage at all. That's right, the Darkness blots out the Psychic-type. However, we only were looking at the strengths of Unovian Zorua and Zoroark. So, it's time to go back in time to the Hisui region and see the strengths of Hisuian Zorua and Hisuian Zoroark. For Hisuian Zorua and Hisuian Zoroark, being that they're normal ghost-type Pokemon and they're filled with a lot of rage and vengeance, they have moves that are super effective on Pokemon that are Psychic-type and Ghost-type. However, being normal and Ghost-type Pokemon, this is not the end of the things that give them an edge in the fight. In fact, they're so strong, they have plenty of immunities. So, let's check out all the immunities of Hisuian Zorua and Zoroark. For the immunities of Hisuian Zorua and Zoroark, their negative emotion and hatred burn so bright that when these moves hit them, they feel no pain and take no damage from any moves that are fighting type, ghost type, and normal type. You know, on a really funny note, I find it so ironic that being normal and ghost type, they can't be hurt by any of their own typing. This really makes these Pokemon that dangerous and that powerful in battle. For the abilities of Zorua and Zoroark, as well as their Hisuian variants, they all share the same signature ability, Illusion. Illusion fools the opponents as Zorua and Zoroark come out disguised as the Pokemon in the party's last spot. This can really be helpful for when you take on opponents competitively. This really will stoke them out. After going on so many journeys with both Zorua and Zoroark, I'm happy to say they are my favorite Dark-type Pokemon. After a lot, I don't really know what I love the most about them. Maybe it's their design, since I really love foxes and werewolves. But maybe it's also their ability of illusion. After all, that's something that so few other Pokemon can ever do, other than Mew and Ditto. But then again, maybe it's the fact that I just really love foxes and I really love how loyal they are. Any of these reasons are always great to have one of them on my team. I don't care what it is, Hisuian or Unovian, Zorua and Zoroark are always welcomed with me. While you can oftentimes catch a Pokemon and have it by your side, what really makes these Pokemon stand out most of all is they can masquerade as anything, and they're also very intelligent. So, maybe right now, there's a Zorua or a Zoroark among us, and we don't know. I always find Zorua and Zoroark so fascinating, and I really like their typing, especially in Hisuian form. I gotta say, Normal and Ghost is a typing I have never seen, but I also think they're coming with a little bit of a joke of why Zorua and Zoroark have Hisuian forms, and why they're in the Sinnoh region. Maybe the little joke is because of Zoroark Master of Illusions, but either way, it does make me sad that we can't find Hisuian Zorua and Zoroark in any of the Sinnoh games. I guess that unfortunately means they went extinct. Whether or not they went extinct or they adapted, I think that's what makes Zorua and Zoroark some of the most unique Pokemon. They have the ability to adapt to their environment, and with their ability of illusion, they also can take on any form. I guess these Pokemon really have no problem taking care of anything they need to, and seeing how loyal and protective they can be, as well as violent and vicious, I think that makes these Pokemon some of the most standout lines out there. I'm just gonna say this, Zorua and Zoroark put on such an amazing performance whenever they use their illusion ability. They truly are thespian Pokemon. I have to say, I really love that both these Pokemon really commit to a role. I guess you could say that Zorua and Zoroark are actors. Well, if that's the case, these Pokemon deserve a Tony because they put on such an amazing show. Give them a hand because they are A-class actors.
Ha! Welcome back, trainers. I hope that you enjoyed learning a lot about Zorua and Zoroark, but I have a few questions for you. Out of all Fox Pokemon we've had in the world of Pokemon, who's your favorite Fox Pokemon and your favorite Fox Pokemon line? After learning about the Hisuian forms, thanks to Pokemon Legends Arceus, I'm curious to know, do you prefer Zorua and Zoroark in their Unovian form, or do you prefer them in Hisuian form? When it comes to Dark-type Pokemon, who's your favorite Dark-type Pokemon, as well as Dark-type Pokemon line of all time? When Zorua and Zoroark were first introduced in the movie Zoroark the Master of Illusions, did you think that they were mythical Pokemon, or did you think that they were normal Pokemon? Also, between Zorua and Zoroark, which one do you prefer better? Do you prefer the tricky fox, the spiteful fox, the illusion fox, the baneful fox, or do you like them both? And out of all 1,002 Pokemon we have in the world of Pokemon, who's the one that you would want to spend your birthday the most with today? Well, trainers, if you liked what you saw, please leave a like. If you have any questions, you want me to cover another Pokemon line, you want to wish me a happy birthday, you want me to talk about something else Pokemon related, or something with the new update with Scarlet and Violet, please comment. And as always, if you liked what you saw and you want to see more, smash that subscribe button. Markiplier, I also wish you a happy birthday from the bottom of my heart. Well, I'm gonna go eat my delicious cake I got from Nurse Joy. Thanks for watching, and trainers, Zoroark out!